stirrup he heard, "You're leaving already?" Arthur turned around. The head was talking, and as he watched, he saw the body get up and feel its way over to the head. And when he found the head, it put the head back on, turned to face Arthur and said, "Your turn." Well, Arthur was a man of chivalry, and he knew that this was the contest, and so he walked over to the stump, got down on his knees, laid his head down. The Black Knight came over, drew his sword, raised it up high, and was just about to land the blow when he said, "This is too easy. Rise, Arthur, this is too easy." So Arthur immediately got up and wiped his knees and said, "I agree with you." He said, "I propose that you answer a riddle, and if you can answer the riddle, I will spare your life. But if you cannot answer the riddle, then I will take your head." Arthur said, "I love riddles." What's the riddle? He was hoping for some kind of riddle like, what's black and white and red all over? They didn't have newspapers back then. What kind of an answer is that? No. This was a day when men were men, women were women, riddles were riddles. This was going to be tough. And so the knight said, "Here is the riddle. What is it that a woman wants above all things?" See, this is where the Valentine part comes in. What is it that a woman wants above all things? And Arthur thought for just a minute, and he said, "I probably was better off when he was going to cut my head off." He said, "How long do I have to answer this riddle?" And the knight said, "You have 1 year. I will give you 1 year to find the answer to this riddle and meet me back on this place. And if you do not have the answer, then I will take your head, Arthur." Well, Arthur agreed to that. He got onto his horse, he started to ride away thinking, how in the world am I going to get an answer to this riddle? But at least I have a year. I can go back to Camelot and someone will help me with the answer to this riddle. Well, as he rode, he came to this cottage. And there was a woman sitting in a rocking chair in the front of the cottage. I say woman, but it was hardly a woman. She was a woman that was so hideous looking, it was hard to look at her. She had a face that not even a mother could love. It was an old, leathery, haggard face. It had hair growing out from all places where women are not supposed to have hair. It had pussy bumps and boils all over it. And she sat on that chair and rocked back and forth. And as Arthur went by, she said, "Arthur, King of the Britons?" And he stopped and he said, "Yes, my lady, that is who I am." And she said, "You have a riddle to answer, do you not?" He said, "Yes, how do you know about this?" She said, "I know about all these things, and I have the answer to your riddle." He said, "You do?" She said, "Yes, but the cost will be very high." Well, Arthur thought, well, I have a year before I have to have the answer. I can do without this. He said, "Thank you, but I'll find my own answer." He rode on. Well, as he rode, again, this sense of sleepiness came over him, and it did not awaken until he had come out of the forest, and there ahead of him were the towers of Camelot. Oh, the beautiful towers of Camelot. And as he rode toward the city with his head hanging, thinking about this riddle that he had to answer, the heralds, he could hear them cry out, "The king is back! The king is back!" And he could hear the shouts go up, and they said, "The king is back!" And as he rode closer and they saw the expression on his face, the herald said, The king is back." And as he rode through the gates, the people were saying, "The king is home, the king is home." And as he rode on toward the castle, there were the knights of the Round Table who had mounted their horses. There was Guinevere, his beautiful wife. They were waiting for him to get there. There was Sir Galahad. There was Sir Lancelot. There was Sir Percy. There was Sir Gawain. All of the knights of the Round Table waiting and cheering until they saw his face. And when he got there, he explained to all of them what had happened. And he called for a meeting of the knights of the Round Table. And they sat around the table and they tried to decide what to do. Sir Galahad, who was the mightiest warrior of all of them, said, "We should go into the forest and find this Black Knight, and there is some kind of enchantment, but surely he can't withstand all of us." And Arthur said, "No. He dealt fairly with me. I will deal fairly with him. And all of the other knights said, maybe we can get a sorcerer to go and challenge him. No, that wasn't a good idea. Maybe we can all go in together and we can try to answer the riddles together. No, that wasn't the right idea. And finally it was Sir Gawain, the youngest, the most handsome of the knights, the one that all the women were swooning before because he was so handsome and single, said, why don't we simply find the answer? Surely with all the women in the kingdom, someone will know the answer to this riddle. And he turned to one of the serving girls who was desperately in love with him and said, young lady, tell us, what is it that you want more than anything else? And she looked and she said, to do everything my future husband wants me to do. Yeah, nobody bought that there either. Okay. So the king, he turned to Guinevere, his wife, and said to her, what is it that you want more than anything else? And she thought a moment, and she looked toward Sir Lancelot, maybe hoping for an answer, but no, nothing came. So she said, to be Queen of Camelot. That wasn't it. Arthur knew that whenever he found the answer, it was going to burn in his heart, and none of that burned in his heart. Well, you can imagine they went on a quest. All of the knights went all over the kingdom asking women what was it they wanted more than anything else, and they got lots of answers. So a bigger house, nicer clothes, some more jewelry, more money, a husband who wouldn't watch Monday night jousting. They had all kinds of answers, but none of them burned in the heart. And finally, even though they had books and books and books covered in leather of answers, on the 365th day when Arthur got up, he knew he did not have the answer to the riddle. He dressed, he put on his best armor, he put Excalibur by his side, he went out to mount his horse. There were all the knights of the Round Table, already ready and mounted. Sir Gawain said, King, we follow you wherever you go. He said, this is my burden. I go alone. He left, he went into the woods. Again, this drowsiness came over him, but he awoke about the time that he got to the cottage. And still sitting on the porch was the woman rocking back and forth. And she said, do you have the answer to the riddle? He said, I believe you know I do not. She said, I didn't think you would have it. I have the answer for you, but the cost is very high. He said, loathsome lady, I will pay any price you say. So she got up out of her chair, walked over to him, and she up on her tiptoes, and he bending down, she whispered in his ear the answer. And his heart burned. He knew it was the right one. He thanked her and he said, dear lady, if I survive the next few minutes, whatever you desire of me, you shall have. And he rode on until he came around the curve, and there, standing in the middle of the road, was the huge knight dressed in black armor. And he said, Arthur, king of the Britons, do you have the answer to the riddle?